What do we know about this list and about the consequences?
Well, the consequences obviously would be potential delisting if these companies, particular companies that end up on this list, do not supply 3 consecutive years of review of their audits, which Beijing and Hong Kong-based companies have refused to do on national security concerns and other concerns. Other jurisdictions around the world have complied with the SEC requirements that are under the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, which came into law in December of 2020. And now the SEC definitely taking action. And the latest to be added to the list are Baidu and its former spin-off iQIYI, as well as Futu Holdings. It's an online brokerage platform. Also Nocera. It's an aquaculture services company, and also CASI Pharmaceuticals. So 5 companies now being added to the provisional list. They'll have 15 business days, which calculates out to about April 20th, to respond to the concerns that the SEC has about their inability, if you will, to provide their audits over the next 3 years. Then they would go on to that list, and again, the clock would start ticking about a potential delisting. So if they have to supply their audits over 3 consecutive years, the earliest they could potentially be delisted would be 2024. But then again, we're seeing already that the House and the Senate have passed provisions calling for potentially speeding up that process. So it could be even sooner than that 3-year process if they do not comply. Now, you mentioned Gary Gensler. He is the SEC chairman. Speaking to Bloomberg News, he pretty much cast doubts on some speculation that the U.S. and China behind the scenes have been talking about some sort of deal. And Chinese regulators were hinting at perhaps there could be an agreement. But look what Gensler had to say. There have been thoughtful, respectful, productive conversations, but I don't know where this is going to end up. Then he goes on to say it's up to the Chinese authorities. And it could be, frankly, a hard set of choices for them. He goes on to say that he's essentially repeatedly underscored that U.S. law gives him little wiggle room for compromise. And he goes on to say, if we're in the same place 2 years from now, many companies would be suspended. So that's where we stand right now. It's going to be perhaps a tense couple of weeks as these companies, Baidu, iQIYI, and the other 3, potentially could respond to the SEC adding them to the list.